Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. A little bit of Massive Beer Review Classics. Yes, we haven't done one of these in quite some time, but I saw this on a shelf and I was intrigued. Brooklyn Black Ops, the 2019 Four Roses edition. I have actually reviewed this before. I reviewed this almost exactly 4 years ago. And yeah, kind of excited to dive back into it. So we're going to crack it open. Actually, let's read some stuff first, then we'll crack it open. This is Brooklyn Black Ops. What is this? This is a stout aged in Four Roses bourbon barrels, 100% bottle re-fermented. On the back here, story time, and it's very, very small. It says here, Brooklyn Black Ops is a legend. We can neither confirm or deny its existence. However, it did exist, and it would be a robust stout originally concocted by Brooklyn Brewing team under the cover of secrecy and hidden from everybody else at the brewery. Supposedly, this vintage of Black Ops is aged for months in Four Roses small batch bourbon barrels and then re-fermented with champagne yeast, creating a big chocolate and coffee notes with rich underpinning of vanilla, like oak. Is Black Ops real? We can't say, but we think you'll love it. Yeah, a couple reasons why I wanted to do this. We actually were in Beer Tube Palooza. We were talking about beers in general and just, random beer shenanigans, and Black Ops came up, and Kyle from the Hype Beer Reviews talked about how he digs Black Ops quite a bit. Actually, he said it isn't like the Four Roses edition, oddly enough. And I talked about how this is such a really great value for its money, because now it's in 16-ounce cans for like sub $20. This bottle plus $20 is a little bit more pricier, but he mentioned that. I randomly saw my review kind of pop up. I forget why, but I saw it. And for you video game nerderies out there, Black Ops 6 just released from Call of Duty. So we're kind of hitting a bunch of different points here. But yeah, I figured I'd give it a re-review. Label-wise, I've always really, really dug the Brooklyn labeling in general, but this Black Ops is kind of like very, very much kind of like classic. Again, Massive Beer Review Classic. I reviewed this 4 years ago, and my take on it back then was I dug the beer. I thought it was tasty, but two things stuck out to me. Well, I just wanted a little bit more impact from it, but the big sticking point was mouthfeel on this. And I thought it was a combination of the champagne yeast kind of bringing a little bit more effervescence maybe, and it kind of drummed out a little bit of mouthfeel, maybe a little bit of temperature kind of thing too, but we'll see what's what. So bottle, embossing, beautiful label. We're down for that. Beer-wise, I mean, it looks the part of a big old rich stout. Not a huge head on it. Give it a whirl. It'll come back with a decent amount of spades. Has that kind of malted malt ball color to it. What is there of the head with this dark mahogany kind of color to it. So it definitely looks part of a big old rich kind of stout. So give it a whirl. Let's give it a huff. Yeah, gobs of vanilla in this. All the vanilla. Rich, thick Imperial Stout. I called it very much a Russian Imperial Stout base on the one I reviewed. When I say the one I reviewed, I should probably clarify that. I reviewed the 2019 vintage back in 2019. So this is definitely that beer with a little bit of age on it. Gobs and gobs of vanilla. I called it more Russian Imperial Stout in the taste and nose. It gives me a little bit more kind of base kind of stout, not an over-hopped kind of bittering. But if it does have time on it, that kind of makes sense. But it has this nice, rich, chocolatey baker's chocolate feel, and then you get this really hefty dollop of vanilla on it. And then outside of that, you get this nice, sweet kind of bourbon, a little bit richer, a little bit sweeter, what I would attribute as a non-spirit snob as something a little bit more akin to Four Roses bourbon. Not that I have a ton of experience, but I've had that bourbon before, so it's a little bit more kind of punchy, a little bit more kind of vibrant in that bourbon sense. But it smells really, really nice. Zero kind of precursor to heavy oxidation or anything like that. It just has this kind of nice, kind of sweet, desserty kind of vibe to it. So I'm digging on it. And I'm just really curious to see where the mouthfeel kind of lands on it, because that was my big sticking point with the previous one. So we're just going to waste our cup, dive right in, say cheers. Spot on. Pretty much the same exact vibes I got from rewatching my video, and that it does have this nice kind of like drier kind of not all the way kind of Russian Imperial style kind of bitterness to it, but you definitely lean in that direction. You have like too many fruit flies floating around here, and it's annoying me. It's been like frigid where I live, and today was like randomly 9 degrees, so every bug in the history of the universe is kind of popped out. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, it has this nice kind of slightly roasty toasty, drier kind of roasted malt kind of vibe to the way the kind of flavor kind of comes off. So it's a robust stout, but again, mouthfeel is kind of tampered here. Again, oak, vanilla is kind of the name of the game here. You're getting a decent amount of oak tannin in here, a little bit of dryness from that, a decent amount of vanilla on this, and you get that sweet kind of bourbon characteristic that you typically get from a well done kind of bourbon barrel aged beer. But again, we're talking 4 years down the road. Have things changed quite drastically? I don't know. But the one sticking point here is that mouthfeel has really kind of stayed the course here in a, let's just say it, in a not so positive way. It definitely has all the DNA and part and parcel of a really nice barrel-aged stout. It says when you get something like this and it comes off with this lighter mouthfeel to it, it really does kind of damper the experience. Now, is that Black Ops in general? I don't know, because I remember this having a thicker, fuller, decent, more decent mouthfeel to it. Is it the champagne yeast in this? Has champagne yeast always been a staple in Black Ops? I actually don't know the answer to that question. But for me, I think that's where this lightness, this kind of lack of mouthfeel really does come from a just not more robust kind of mouthfeel that's driven by the yeast that's chosen for the beer, which just makes it have this lightness, this effervescence, this champagne-like kind of mouthfeel, just kind of counterintuitive to what you typically want in a big barrel-aged beer. Listen, is it tasty? Yes. Am I going to be ripping these off the shelves? No. At $24 a bottle, it's still a little bit hefty price-wise when it comes to this beer, especially since you can get its current brethren at a sub $20 price point. I think I got like 4 packs of this in 16-ounce cans for like $16. So, you know, you do the math. It just comes off as a much better value in that sense, and at the same time not being appreciably better because it's in this big 750 bottle. But I had hankering. These moons, the stars, they collided with, you know, conversation at Beer Tube Palooza, release of a game I always play. Figured I'd give it a whirl and just say, is it better than what I had 4 years ago? No. Is it worse? No. I think it's much the same. There's probably a little bit of ebb and flow in how this thing kind of expresses itself. But in the grand scheme of things, what you get is a just below what you expect from a Russian Imperial Stout, kind of roasty, toasty, kind of bittering. A nice representation of oak and vanilla. The spirit comes through quite tasty. You're getting little kind of drabs of that barrel charriness now, so it's bringing a little bit more barrel out of the actual experience itself. Really, where this one kind of loses me, and I think might lose a lot of y'all, is through mouthfeel, which is just, again, it's not a thin beer. It's just it decently thinner than what you'd want from a robust. Did we call out ABV on this sucker? 12.4, big beer, 13% ABV stout. You just want something a little bit more viscous in the taste, and you're just not getting it here. And I really do kind of, I think that's a mouthfeel thing that's contributed by the yeast of choice. Could be the brew, could be the beer, but fun beer, yes. Tasty, yes. I get this experience or close to it at a 4-pack, for $16. I think I'm kind of really excited about it. At $24 for $7.50, it starts to lose me a little bit here. So, in the grand scheme of things, fun beer, tasty beer. I was expecting something quite a bit different since we're following up on a beer that we reviewed many months ago. But based off of what I remember of that beer and rewatching my review, it just, again, nothing to write home about. At the same time, not a bad beer. End sentence. End of story. Brooklyn Brewing. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? Have you had this beer? Oh, before we go to that, Mount Rushmore status, no. Value and availability, pricey at this point. 4-packs, different story. And availability off the shelf. I've seen this at several occasions in the tri-state area. And just say if you like what we like this. If you like barrel-aged beer, but some people might not like that super thick viscousness, and you want that a little bit lighter kind of mouthfeel to a bourbon barrel-aged beer, you'll dig this. So, Brooklyn, have you had their beers? Have you had this beer? What's your favorite beer from Brooklyn? What's your favorite vintage of Black Ops? I'm really curious about that. We can talk about it down below. So hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of barrel-aged beer right now. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers, y'all.